Hello there. Welcome to another PD. I'm Dale Hermis, film historian, film buff and collector, and this is my colleague, jump fan, Nicholas Richard. Well, our topic for today is a movie that we all grew up with, the two of us, and I'm sure all of you, the 1990 family comedy Home Alone. All right. Now, you saw Home Alone when you were a kid?
Sure did.
I did too. And you know what? I fucking loved it.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
The thing about Home Alone, you want to know something that's kind of funny?
Hmm.
You know who Siskel and Ebert are, don't you? Siskel and Ebert, they were these two film critics on TV. They hated it. You want to know what their big complaint about that movie was? It's not realistic. If a kid is left home alone, he wouldn't do all these things. He wouldn't set traps. He wouldn't go grocery shopping. He'd be scared. And they say, well, he starts off scared, but then he gets brave and all that. It's just like, this is a family comedy, and you need to suspend your disbelief. I know, it does, pardon me for a moment. It does kind of throw you off, doesn't it? Critical opinions and the public reception never sync up. I mean, most critics didn't like Home Alone. They thought it was violent and stupid. But kids loved it. I loved it. You can't go wrong with Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as Harry and Marv.
No.
Why don't we... Oh! What's even better than Home Alone? How about Home Alone 2?
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Your favorite movie of all time, Home Alone 2. That's actually a good choice. Most people don't like Home Alone 2 because they say it's basically the same movie except it's in New York. But you know what? I don't care. It's just so funny. I mean, people said the same thing about The Hangover Part 2, that's basically The Hangover in Bangkok. And it's just like, to each his own. You know, there was something pretty funny about Home Alone. When it came out, it was so damn popular. It was the second highest grossing comedy behind Ghostbusters. Everybody tried to copy it. And throughout the 1990s, you had all these rip-offs that had the bumbling burglars getting one-up by kids and animals and all that. You had Dennis the Menace and Baby's Day Out.
Great movie, although, by the way.
Dennis the Menace was very good. You see, the thing is, with the exception of the violent ending with Christopher Lloyd, it's actually a pretty innocent movie, and most of the stuff that happens to Walter Matthau as Mr. Wilson is pretty innocent, like when he slips and falls to the attic floor and the boat comes down.
And the chicken paint.
And the paint, that's good too. It's with Christopher Lloyd, it's pretty violent, but other than that, it's a very sweet, innocent movie. Then, as I said, you had Baby's Day Out. You even had Three Ninjas, which was kind of like Ninja Turtles crossed with Home Alone. I don't know what sense that makes. Is someone coming in? No, that was just my imagination. Another Home Alone ripoff was 101 Dalmatians.
I liked it.
I really liked 101 Dalmatians. When I was a little kid, I'll never forget when I first saw that movie. I was going down to my grandparents' house, and I almost brought the cartoon with me, and then my grandmother said, "We've got the live-action movie with the humans." And I was like, wow, I didn't even know there was a human version of it. So I watched it, and I was expecting it to be almost exactly like the cartoon, but the ending disappointed me because I was expecting it to end with a car chase. And instead it ends with this weird slapstick thing with the villains. And I was actually a little disappointed, but now that I'm an adult, I think it's really funny. My favorite stunt is when they're on the electric fence and they get blown up and go flying through the air. That always cracks me up. What's really funny is What's really funny is that earlier in the movie, when Pongo and Purdy are making their way across the country, they come across the same fence, and they just walk down the end of it and find a hole that is big enough for Horace and Jasper to get through. They try and jump over it. So they got outsmarted by a bunch of dogs. What am I going to say? But now that I'm an adult, I pose this question to you. What ending do you prefer? The car chase in the cartoon or the Home Alone stunts, the live action?
The Home Alone stunts.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. You know, it's kind of cool to see a car chase in a cartoon movie. You know, you don't really see those that often. But I don't know. The Home Alone slapstick just wins me over because it's just so funny that the dog. It's just like the baby in Baby's Day Out. The dogs don't really do anything to the human. It's just dumb luck. But it's funny dumb luck, like with falling through the floor and onto the table, or falling into that lily pond. And it's just, poor horse. Cold. Cold. But there was one Home Alone ripoff that I did not like at all. It was Flubber with Robin Williams. That was awful. Flubber. Since I brought up Robin Williams, what do you think of him as an actor?
I think he's a genius.
He's a genius. Well, I'm in the camp that a little of him can go a long way. I think when you look at Mrs. Doubtfire, he's very funny in Mrs. Doubtfire. That whole scene where he has to go back and forth between himself and Mrs. Doubtfire in the apartment with the social worker, it's just like the mask falls out. Oh, shit! That always cracks me up. But when you look at something like Jack, that's a bad movie. Jack is such a bad movie. I mean, the idea of Robin Williams playing a kid who has this disease. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Well, in Jack, he plays this 10-year-old who has this disease that causes him to age rapidly, where he looks 40 instead of 10. That's an interesting idea. Plus, having Diane Lane for a mother doesn't hurt. But it's just such a bad movie. It's not funny. It's weird and it's gross. And you know what's even worse? It was directed by the same guy who directed The Godfather. I shit you not. I know I could believe that. Oh, you spurted out your barbecue sauce. But I think a little of Williams can go a long way, personally. I didn't like him in Aladdin.
You didn't?
I didn't like Aladdin, period. But in fact, that's something that a lot of people can't believe. Like when I say I didn't like The Lion King, a lot of people can't believe that.
I can do it.
We went off on a bit of a tangent here. How about this Home Alone ripoff, Home Alone 3?
Hated it.
Hated it. You know, when I first heard that there was a Home Alone 3, I was actually kind of excited.
I was too at first.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I loved the first two movies, and I really wanted to see the third one. And when it starts, you got Home Alone 3. You got that familiar music playing, that. But then, as soon as the title comes up, we zoom, and now we're in China with terrorists, and it's like, what the fuck? And then when we get back to Chicago, it's just like, who is this kid? Who are these people? They tried to make Haviland Morris played the mother. They tried to make her look like the mother from the first two movies, but it's pointless. It's not the same family.
It was sad.
It was. And the traps are so ridiculous. I mean, I can accept that they were pretty over the top in the second movie, but in the third movie, it's just ridiculous. There's one scene where one of the goons comes in through the window, sits down on the toilet, and it goes like, what, through 3 floors. You're telling me that this kid sawed giant square holes in 3 floors of his house? Boy, his parents must have taken that really well. And we didn't see that at the end of the movie. In fact, it ends with that rat and that bird on that toy car, and it's just like, and then, of course, all the burglars get the chicken pox. It's just... There was one thing about that movie I really liked. I like that stunt where he pulls on the dummy hand and the lawnmower comes down. That was kind of funny. He wears that hat. When he has to take it off at the end, his hair just looks so weird. That was kind of funny, but, I mean, come on. And the stunt itself is so ridiculous. A giant lawnmower coming down and bothering you. By the way, there is another slight connection between Home Alone 3 and the first two movies. There's that scene where one of the goons gets a mouse in his pants. He has a hole in his pants, and there's a mouse sticking out. So one of the others takes a crowbar, and it's like in the first movie when that spider is on Harry. Harry, don't move. Except they ruin it here because when he gets hit in the balls, he doesn't offer those. And it's just so forced and unfunny, and it just makes you want to puke. Don't get me started on Home Alone 4. That is a discussion for another day. Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House, which featured the same characters in the first two movies, but not played by the same people.
Hated it too.
Mm-hmm. I abandoned it like a half an hour in. I just...
Yeah, never make them like...
No, they'll never make them like that again. A solid decade of Home Alone ripoffs. Dalmatians, babies, and all that stuff. Oh, and Flubber. Green Goo.
Uh-huh.
Boy, they were really running ideas by that point. Well, if you haven't seen any of these knockoffs, check them out. Except for Flubber, that was dumb. That was really dumb.
Don't watch
They shit out the Flubber. I shit you not. They shit out the Flubber. Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore swallows the Flubber and shits it out. It's Disney. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with another discussion at some point.